Hello, Mountaineer and Big 12 football fans all across the nation. I'm Joey Foster here with you right tonight. And hey, listen, we're going to talk a lot about Big 12 football. We got a lot to talk about with Arizona with the departure of Jed Fish, new incoming coach Brett Menem, and losing over 20 players to the transfer portal. Hey, Arizona could be in a hot mess right now. And they were coming in as one of the preseason favorites in the Big 12 this year. We're going to talk about all that and a lot more in the Big 12 coming up right after this.
Hey, Joey, it's good to have you back. Great to have you back.
It's great to be back, and a special thank you to you and Frank and Mark and everybody that covered for me for the last month of my illness. As everyone can hear, I'm still a little hoarse, but man, I feel 100% and ready to go. So, I'm really excited about that. Thank goodness for steroids and antibiotics. I'll tell you that.
There you go. Yeah, it makes your appetite. You become a hungry bear when you take those steroids.
Oh man, that's all I've been doing is eating. It was funny because my doctor and I were talking about it about 2 weeks ago about how much weight I had lost since I'd been sick. Because I had lost probably 8 pounds. In a couple of weeks. Well, now I probably put on more weight than I had before. So. Well, Shane, man, we got a lot to talk about. Arizona's in a hot mess, not only financially, right? Because they're having some struggles over there financially. But
before they were having struggles, yes.
Right, but now, Jed Fish leaving, going to Washington, taking over that program, which I don't blame him. That's a great hire for Washington. It's a great move for Jed Fish. Brent Benham coming in from San Jose State to take over Arizona. Arizona was one of the preseason favorites. And your preseason favorite to win the Big 12 coming in year one. So, we got a lot of changes going on right now.
I'll tell you what, there's been a mad rush for Fish. He went to, Staples and he got a bunch of rolls of the masking tape you put on the players' helmets to know their names the first week of practice. And he put 25 cents, 50 cents. He had a yard sale. All those kids, or he got one of those flutes and he's a Pied Piper and they're all following him to greener pastures, which I don't think is greener pasture because they're not going to win at Washington their first year. Just saying. And what does he have? Like 12 of those 20 kids are going with him to Washington.
Yeah, quite a few of them. Washington is always loaded anyway. I mean, they get great recruits up there and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, his first year in, trying to get his stuff implemented, his changes that he'll make. He won't do. He'll be good. Don't get me wrong. I think they'll go to a bowl game. They'll probably win eight or 9 games up here in Washington. But
yeah.
Especially, it's according to what their schedule is. They're playing in the Big Ten now. If they're playing more or less a Big Ten West schedule. Hell, they might go undefeated because the Big Ten West kind of sucks. But
yeah, exactly. They have a chance. Washington has a chance to make a name for themselves, and hopefully they don't fall along the path of Nebraska into obscurity. Once powerful, mighty Nebraska is now, a homecoming game for a lot of these Big Ten teams. You're like, Nebraska. When Nebraska would bring fear. The 94, 95, those 2 years probably combined were like 2 of the best football teams college football's ever seen.
Right. Yeah. They went undefeated in 93. won the national championship, of course, 94.
94, 95, did it again.
95.
So
Yeah, but that was under Tom Osborne too, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the greatest football coaches in the history of college football.
yeah, he eats stats and poops W's. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
a winner, baby.
Tom Osborne
I'll
was
tell
really
you
good.
what. I think the University of Arizona, did they get a winner? They hired a coach from San Diego State.
Was it San Diego or
Brent,
San Jose?
Oh, San Jose State. My bad. San Jose State. Brent Benham. See, that's what happens when I trust my mind instead of looking at my notes. You know what I mean? Guys, I'll tell you what. This is domino effect, and if you don't know and you're tuning in, I'm going to make you smart. The 5-second catch you up. Nick Saban, the GOAT, retired. Okay. So what is that? What happens? It's like the door of an airplane, just like those bolts on those passenger liners that are the doors are coming off. Well, the door came off and it sucked all the air out of a lot of programs. The oxygen tanks dropped. Everybody's scattering. Washington's scattering. They're trying to find a coach. They find Arizona's coach. Then Arizona has to find a coach. It's just a domino. And I hate to say it, but Arizona, I can empathize, and I feel bad. I feel really bad because it reminds me back, and you're going to put your thinking cap on and go back to 2007, 8-ish, when West Virginia lost their coach, when they were looking really good for the next year. Okay. But here's the difference. Those kids couldn't transfer.
Right. Now they can.
Now they can. Now they can.
Yeah, without penalty, without setting out because of the new court ruling that came down. They can go and play right away. So now the thing about that is, like I was saying, Washington's got some pretty good players, so they're going to have to compete against better talent than they had at Arizona, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Arizona was able to hold on to the quarterback so far. But
so far. But you know what? It's just, okay. Let's talk about another name, big name in the Big 12, Kansas State. Their quarterback, Howard left and went to Ohio State, guys. He's gone. And, that is surprising because Kansas State, did they move on my list? And I'm looking here and, man, they moved. I don't think they moved much. But that's a big void to fill. And I probably should have moved Kansas State down a little farther into the second tier. I'm throwing out hints here, but they're still a top 5 in my eyes. But I just don't understand how a quarterback can move. Okay, yeah, how can a quarterback move? Here we go. Let's talk about quarterbacks.
Top 15 college football quarterbacks next season coming in.
Guys, this is fantastic.
If we look down through here, so we've got Colorado, Sanders at Colorado, who's quarterback.
Let's talk about him real quick. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. Is he number 5, or is he more like 9, 10? Or is it because he was on his back and he had bruised ribs?
I think he's a decent quarterback. I didn't get to watch him play enough to know how good he really is.
Yeah.
We know he's probably got talent because of the family name and things and having a coach for a father, but at the same time that doesn't always translate into victories. It doesn't always translate into being an MVP of a team, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have a problem. I appreciate, marketing yourself, okay? But a kid that age should not be worried about flashing a $60,000 AP, and doing that type of crap. I just, he won 4 games. Okay. I understand he has a big NIL deal and he's making bank. But, I like, maybe it's because we're from Appalachia, but I like the steel tin, the tin lunchbox with dents in it and stickers and shit and a little bit of rust, and the thermos is broke and the handle's taped up with duct tape, and you're packing your lunch. That's what I like to see. People getting to work. I've worked all those years in the Army, and then the job I have now, I don't remember taking a lunch. I either bring my lunch or I just eat. I don't know how I got on the lunch topic, but I'm just saying you gotta show that you're in it. And with these quarterbacks transitioning and bouncing from team to team like bumper pool, how can they develop? It has to hinder their development into being an NFL talent. I mean, because these coaches, their playbooks can't be that similar. I wasn't an offensive player, so I really don't know. But what do you think, Joey?
Not playbooks are going to be different for every team. That's for
Right.
sure, and for everything. And you get you get new coordinators in. You get all kinds of different changes, things like that.
Right.
College football is always changing. But one thing about the Big 12 is the Big 12 the conference of quarterbacks or what? If we look down through it, we got Colorado, Arizona, Kansas, West Virginia. There's 4 teams in the Big 12 that are in the top 15 of quarterbacks. And I know there's probably more SEC teams than that. But, when you think about the Big 12 and everybody talks about, well, the Big 12 is the lesser, is one of the lesser that, we got the Big 2, the SEC and the Big 10. Then you got the Big 12 and the ACC. I don't agree with that one bit. And if you look at our talent around the Big 12, like it's saying right here, Sanders, number 5, Vita, number 6, and Jalen Daniels, if he can stay healthy, at Kansas, number 9, Garrett Green, 15. And I don't agree with Garrett Green at 15. I think Garrett Green's better than probably 8 or 9 of the quarterbacks on this list.
Yeah, I'd put him 8 to 12 anywhere he could kind of go in there and slip in. And, he was tied for passer rating with Penix Jr., who's going to go high in the draft. So you can't tell me some of these bums are elite like that. They're Division I quarterbacks, but I'm just in there.
Real quick. Let me go down through here and shout out our chat.
Sure.
We've got some people with us. I want to shout them out real quick. Thank them for being here. First, we got Timothy Green, who's always number 1 in here. First person in here every time. First person to hit the like button. He does it on this channel, on the West Virginia channel. He does it on the Big 12 channel. We stream on both channels. So, Timothy, we appreciate you being here as always. Got Kelly McCord, who's always the second one in here right away.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, Kelly.
Appreciate Kelly being here. Yvette's in here with us. Hello, and ready for an awesome show. FSU 45. Now, that's a good friend of mine. And matter of fact, I texted him a while ago and told him we was going live at 8 o'clock. I don't believe he even knew that we did a show on here. So I didn't do a very good job of promoting because I didn't even let him know. Jackson Johnson, of course, who's always with us. Appreciate you being here, Jackson. Frank Pierce with us. Frank says, so great to have you back.
Mr. Margarita.
Mr. Tim Prangley, our USC guys in here with us. Appreciate you being here. MH5, Shane Lake Stanley Thermos products before it was cool. Yeah,
I have an old green one in my underneath my under my counter. It's there, ready to rock, baby.
If I missed you in the chat, I apologize. Appreciate everyone being here. Be sure you hit that thumbs up button for us. It doesn't do anything for our ego, but YouTube sure does love it. YouTube's got a pretty big ego, and they like that thumbs up button. So if you'll just hit that thumbs up for us, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, Shane, let's go back to this quarterback situation here.
Yeah.
So Jalen Daniels, I was talking about him. You and I were talking about him today on the phone. Probably, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the Big 12, Jalen Daniels. But like I say,
Yeah.
staying healthy is his problem. And I think that has a lot to
Mhm.
do with the offensive line at Kansas and how talented they are. They're still building that offensive line. They do have some great talent coming in this year. Yeah, they got a fantastic recruiting class I was looking at today. So, Kansas could do better at protecting him this next year. And Jalen Daniels can tear you up. He's a
Mhm.
very good quarterback, very strong.
You had mentioned that quarterbacks throughout, like, is the Big 12 a quarterback conference? And going back to when it was the Big 8, and just thinking back with the new blood, and like BYU, Utah always have, they always have gunslingers, and BYU had what, Jim McMahon, Ty Detmer, Steve Young. I mean, BYU. Those are as big as they come, guys. And to add to the list of through history that Texas Tech, of course, Cliff Kingsbury wasn't an NFL talent, but he was a good quarterback, and But guys, I'm going to go through my list here, and I'm going to break down just probably 2 minutes each team, and adjust my list for how I think the teams in the Big 12 are going to rank. You ready?
Yeah, because I know Arizona's going to drop because I don't remember where you had them, but you had them in the top three.
I had them in the top 3. Yeah. So guys, starting out on my list, I got it right here. Okay. Nice legal pad. I'm tech savvy, baby. So number 1, the Cowboys, not the Dallas Cowboys, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Okay. Last year they were 10-4. Okay. Man, they lost. It's like I'm repeating myself, but they lost to South Alabama, and I wrote them off. I thought they were garbage, and I'm like, how embarrassing for the Big 12. And then they represented us in the championship, and they took an L to a good Texas team, but West Virginia should have beat them. Hey guys, I have bias there. Poorly coached game. West Virginia pretty much had them, but hey, I think they are legit. They're a good team, and I have them at number 1. Okay, and then, the schedule that lines up for Oklahoma State is pretty favorable. Not so much, and we're going to talk about the schedule after go through here. But Utah, who's number 2, is my man. They have an easier schedule. Okay. And actually, Sports
Would you like me to
Illustrated.
bring their schedules up?
Yeah, you can. Sports Illustrated had was mentioning that they have a weak schedule because a lot of the teams they play were under 500 last year. So let's talk about. Go to the other one.
Go to the other one. All right.
There we go. Okay. So we have no,
Well,
the
other
other.
Oklahoma State. Yeah.
There we go. Oklahoma State. Yeah, Oklahoma State. They have a home game. The home games they have, good old Oklahoma State.
They
Who do
got
they
Arizona
have for home?
State, Utah, Texas Tech, and West Virginia as their home games.
Well, no. Oklahoma State has BYU, Colorado away, Baylor away, TCU away, Kansas State away. Home games. They only have 4 home games. They have Arizona State, Utah, Texas Tech, and West Virginia. Their home games are against Texas Tech and West Virginia and Utah. That lines up. The only away game that looks like it might be troublesome for them would be, I would think, TCU and Kansas State. So right there, guys. That's my number 1 pick. All right. Number 2, I'm moving over to Utah. Okay. Utah they just plug and play. The reliable program. Kyle Whittingham, what can you say? I mean, they're a quality program. I'm really happy that the Big 12 has, granted them access to but did they give them the keys to the kingdom? Because they might run the table this year. They have a very favorable schedule. They have their away games are Arizona State, winnable, Colorado, winnable, Houston, very winnable. Now, this is the tough one they have for them. If they beat Oklahoma State, right there, one of those two teams is going to be whoever wins between those two monsters are going to play for the Big 12 championship. And then they have Central Florida away, which is not going to be easy. Okay, guys? That stadium rocks. Arizona at home, which is a shell of what they were just a month ago, guys. BYU at home, TCU at home, and Iowa State at home. Guys, that is if I'm a coach in the Big 12, I will take that schedule and not even question it, guys. That's now, who do I have at 3? Who do you think, Joey?
West Virginia.
No, I don't. Pretty close. You could pretty much plug and play Kansas and West Virginia, okay? I have Kansas in there. And the reason I have Kansas in there is it's going to come down to these guys will flip-flop based off of the 4th game of the season, or 5th game of the season, I think it is. So the away games for Kansas, Arizona State, BYU, Baylor, K-State, and West Virginia on their schedule. That's why they're ranked.
They got 2 really tough away games.
Two tough away games, yes, Joey. And those two L's are going to keep them out of the top 2 spots, I feel. So if West Virginia can win that, and I have that as a 50-50 game for West Virginia. West Virginia has a hell of a time playing Kansas the past few years. I don't know why they do. They know they have to suck the egg, they break it, and they choke. They get shells in their mouth, they're gagging, it's just a mess. Just hard boil that rascal and put her down. Okay, so I had mentioned West Virginia number 5, but let's talk about Kansas real quick. Lance Leipold, okay, he's still the man as far as the Big 12 is concerned in my eyes. He's still the best. I think he's the best the best coach. Okay?
Better than Mike Gundy. Better than Mike Gundy?
I think so. Mike has a more, I guess he has over his career is more stable and everything. But I think Lance is the hot new girl. You know what I mean? Just walked in the club, everybody's looking at her. Lance has the swagger. He's really changed the program because Oklahoma State was never a down and out program. Okay. Kansas was always the laughing stock, the bottom rung of the ladder of the Big freaking 12. And that's just the way it was. So he has now, they used to have outhouse dreams or outhouse budget and penthouse dreams. Now they can actually get the elevator keys to that penthouse because Lance has them around his neck. Okay.
They're putting so much money into their program, $225 million.
Man, they're sprinkling money. So, like Scrooge McDuck building stuff.
Right.
Okay, so Kansas has a favorable. They have they do have to play 5 away games, but the home games it should be sure things. They should be 4 wins. So that's like West Virginia and Penn State are interchangeable at 3 and 4. So let's go to the Mountaineers. And you guys know I'm a Mountaineer fan, so I'm not gonna just drone on about these Mountaineers. But let's talk about their schedule. So Neil Brown had a case of the butt because media days, boo-hoo. They picked them 14. They put up 14 was everywhere in the stadium and in the locker room and in the practice facility. They won't have that. They won't have that problem this year. Okay. Also, Neil Brown, his job is secure. Okay, and I saw some memes where he might be leaving to Michigan. They're just trying to put salt in the wound from when Rich Rod left, guys.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no truth to that. Okay, guys. He's
Right.
staying in West Virginia. Okay, so away games. This is why I had West Virginia at 4 and not like 2 or 3, because they had Arizona. Okay. However, they still got to go play Arizona in the desert. I gave them like a 30-70 shot of winning them before. I flipped that now. I give them a 70% chance of winning that. They have away Texas Tech. Oklahoma State away is going to be tough. Same with Texas Tech, but West Virginia usually plays Texas Tech tough. Cincinnati is away. Please, Mountaineers, don't look past that. I have Cincinnati down pretty low on the list, but they can ruin a happy Saturday every Saturday, if you know what I mean. So the Mountaineers have 5, count them, 5 home games. Okay. The Baylor Bears. That is another team that always, like, the defense for West Virginia decides just to take the weekend off when they play the Baylor Bears. It's always just
And also that's the hottest coaching seat in the Big 12, maybe even the nation this year, is Dave Aranda.
Yeah, he needs a donut or maybe one of those oven mitts. They can make
Now here's the thing about Dave Aranda. He's the Neil Brown of last year, right?
Yes, he
this
is.
year coming in, can he turn it around and win 9 games this year? I mean, it is Baylor after all. They do get good recruits.
They have it, guys. They are a couple years ago. What happened? They were just the darlings of college football, and they have a brand new shiny stadium. And Chip and Joanna Gaines have a little network TV thing going on down there, and they represent. So, guys, just listen. You guys have it. You just got to put that crap together and get going in the right direction.
This is only in conference games. That's why you're only seeing 9 games for West Virginia. It's not listing Penn State and Pitt.
No, we're not talking about. I beat that dead horse on our West Virginia podcast on Monday about Penn State and how that's going to change. If they win, that'll change the landscape of the Big 12. But let's move on. I don't want to dwell on West Virginia too long, but you got Kansas at home. Okay, Kansas at home is a big deal, guys.
It is a big deal.
If they can beat Kansas, man, it's on like Donkey Kong. Kansas State, another good team. They have to play at home. I love it. Iowa State. West Virginia has a hell of a time playing Iowa State for some reason. UCF. Don't overlook UCF. They're coming up to Morgantown. Hopefully they catch a cold and they get the sniffles. But let's move down to K-State at number.
There's one thing here I want to point out, and that is Kansas State don't do too well in Morgantown.
No, they don't. They
don't win too often. Iowa State struggles in Morgantown. As a matter of fact, most teams struggle in Morgantown.
Right.
But Kansas State especially does.
Yeah, Kansas State and Iowa State are both one of those teams like an Arkansas in the SEC. They always just manage to 1 or 2 games play way above their pay grade and punch above their weight. It just happens. So, Kansas State, they had Texas up against the ropes, smacking them. I watched that Roadhouse. Joey, Roadhouse is one of my favorite movies. Okay. And I'm talking, there's TBS Roadhouse and HBO Roadhouse. I let my kids watch the TBS Roadhouse. One time by mistake, I had the HBO Roadhouse and I had to cover their eyes. Okay. But it's like, it helps you get a couple layers on that man card by watching Roadhouse, and they're going to make a remake. And I was pretty excited about that. So when I'm talking about Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be Patrick Swayze's character in this, and they're going to have it looks fantastic. Okay, so in the trailer, he's smacking this guy in a bar, like that smack competition they have that UCF bought. Okay, that is what Kansas State was doing to Texas, open hand slapping them, and all of a sudden, Texas ducked, gave him a sucker punch, and knocked him out. Kansas State is deadly. Okay, guys, don't overlook them. Okay, and that's why I have them at number 5, rounding out my top tier. And these are my top tier schools for the Big 12. Okay, let's talk about Kansas State's schedule. They have BYU away, Colorado away, Houston away, Iowa away, and West Virginia away. That West Virginia game for Kansas State is going to be tough for them. But they have a very favorable schedule. Who do they have at home? Okay, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Cincinnati. And I had them a month ago ahead of West Virginia because they didn't have to play Arizona. That was the reasoning. I have it written down here. That's the logic I had behind moving them ahead, or moving them ahead of some of these other teams on the list. Sorry. Okay, let's go to number. What are we at? Number 6.
Who you got?
Iowa State. On the very left on this, Iowa State has a home game at Texas Tech, a home game at Baylor, home game at Kansas State, home game at Cincinnati, home game at UCF, away game. They go to Morgantown. They go to Lawrence. They play Houston, and then they play Utah.
That's a tough road schedule there.
That's a tough road schedule. Yes.
3 out of those 4 they could lose.
Yeah, and then Iowa, and then, we're not talking about travel. I'm not even going to bitch and complain about that. There's, West Virginia has to travel 2,700 miles for one of their games, and the closest one's 1,000. So, I'm not going to complain about that. It is what it is. Let's go down to, okay. But, they're a tough team, and they laid an egg in Liberty Bowl against Memphis, but, they just forgot to run the ball. They ran the ball and they didn't get any yards. But who do we have next? Excuse me.
Number 7.
I got so excited I forgot to breathe. Okay. The Horned Frogs, TCU. Last year, 5-7. Guys, let's talk about the Horned Frogs. Can you switch okay, they're right in the middle there. Sorry.
They're right there, yeah.
Utah away. Baylor away. They have to go to Lawrence, and they have to go the whole way up to Cincinnati. Who do they have at home? They have a depleted Arizona, Texas Tech, Houston, Oklahoma State, and UCF. That's not a bad schedule.
They have 3 games that I think they will lose right there, and that's or 4 games. I'm sorry, Utah, Kansas, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State.
You're right, Joey.
Four losses I can see on their schedule. 4 losses. But I don't never count out Sonny Dykes. I think Sonny Dykes is a fantastic coach, and so you can't count out TCU ever. I don't think they'll have the year they had last year, but I still don't think they're back yet. So yeah, I would have to agree with you. Putting them 7th, I would probably have them right in the middle somewhere there.
Yeah, is the Hypnotoad back? Because 13 months ago, these guys were lining up with putting their fingers down in the dirt, getting ready to play for a national championship. Now they're top of the second tier in my 3-tier Big 12 guys. So moving on. Let's talk about Texas Tech at number 8. The Red Raiders, 7-6 last year. Okay, guys, these are the hard games for Texas Tech. Okay, I think Colorado and Baylor are going to be tough for them. But let's talk about Arizona, TCU, Oklahoma State, and Iowa State all at home. Okay.
Now those are away games.
Oh, sorry, those are away games. Now we have the home games, Arizona State at home, Colorado at home, Baylor at home, Cincinnati at home, and West Virginia at home.
I see them
So
winning all their home games with the exception of West Virginia. I don't think they'll have any
yeah,
trouble with the other four.
yeah,
I think those will be pretty much blowouts. Now, here's the problem. I don't think Texas Tech will beat TCU or Oklahoma
nope,
State this year. So
nope.
there's 3 losses I can see on their schedule, and I don't know what their out of conference schedule is.
Yeah,
Um, so so therefore, I might have Texas Tech a little bit higher than you
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
just looking at that schedule. But I'm not. I wouldn't disagree with eighth either.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like 6 through 10, I can pretty much interchange these cats, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
have a heartburn with it, guys. And that's just the way it is. We're talking 1 win difference between these guys. They might be tied. Like 6 through 9 could be tied. Okay, I'm just putting them down so I can keep them in order and not talk about the same one twice. Uh, Number 9, guys, I have the Colorado Buffaloes. They're 4-8 last year. Okay, they went 1-4 in the old Pac-12.
oops,
Okay,
let me get the
uh,
right one up here.
I know they're
Yeah.
still playing Nebraska. Okay, but that's not a conference. That's not a conference game for them. But that's not an easy one. So the Buffs away Arizona. That should be a win now for them, which was a loss a month ago. Texas Tech away. They have to go to Lawrence, Kansas, and then they go the whole way out to Florida. Okay, that's not going to be an easy game. That UCF game. They do have home games. They have 5 home games. They have Kansas State, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State,
No,
Baylor. Their home
you're
games are
looking.
Utah, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Baylor. So
No, Colorado, Utah, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas State,
yeah,
Cincinnati.
I just said them in a
Oh,
different
I'm sorry.
order.
I'm sorry. Now,
I'm written down.
now, looking at Colorado, here's the thing about it. If I had to rank Big 12 coaches right now, I would have Deion Sanders down there probably around 12th or 13th, simply because he's not shown anything in Power Five football yet. Right?
Yeah,
Last year, I'm sure wasn't an indication of how good of a coach he is or how bad of a coach he is, but still, yet he's not shown me anything. Now, can
yeah,
he
yeah,
turn
and
things around this year? So,
I think uh, I game management. I think is his weakness. I think he excels at the executive and the strategic, the theater level thought. Like the forecasting, the planning, the building the program, the motivating, the culture. I think that is all A plus, and then it's like a C minus, D plus when it comes to just on the field coaching. Until I'm proven wrong, but that's just Shane's opinion. I'm a fan, not a coach. Take it for a grain of salt. This is entertainment. Okay, guys. So we're talking about the Buffaloes, and prime time. I only think they did six episodes on that Prime thing because I haven't seen a new one pop up, and I really enjoyed watching that. A lot of fun. So let's go to number 10, guys. Who do you think's number 10?
I would probably say BYU.
BYU. Hey, you're close. I have them at 11. 10, I have UCF. Okay, they were 6 and 7 last year, and Joey, we talked about this. They were a field goal away from winning most of those games. Okay, or a score. So they had a 5-game losing streak, and they were. I think they're ranked in the beginning of the season, but guys, I got to give them credit. They're moving in the right direction. They have a huge fan base. They have probably, I think they have the biggest student body. And let's talk about their schedule here. Arizona State away, so they got to go out to the desert. TCU away, Iowa State away, and they have to come up to Morgantown. So they're like hitting all the corners, right? And then UCF has a home game. They have Arizona, BYU at home, Utah at home, Colorado at home, and Cincinnati at home. So let's talk. Let's look and see what games I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose against. I think they're going to
they'll
lose
lose
against
I think they'll lose to
TCU.
TCU, Iowa State, West Virginia, Utah, and then I think the others are really toss up.
Yeah, I think they have 4 losses in the conference. So
yeah.
Okay, next one, Joey, you pretty much called it. BYU. Okay, the Cougs. I know they have they play SMU. Okay, that's an out of conference game, but BYU, we got, man, they also had a 5-game losing streak last year, and they couldn't find a way to win. Close losses against Oklahoma and both Oklahoma State. So the heartbreak factors there, much like UCF. So, like I said, Utah, Arizona State, Baylor, UCF, all away. Now their home stretch: Arizona, Houston, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I'll tell you what, it's 50-50 on almost all those.
Yeah,
I
agree. There's just going to be some games that they're just not going to. They're not going to get by Oklahoma State. I just don't see that. They're not going to get by Kansas State. All 3 of them are home games. Losing 3 home games can be tough, especially then when you got to go on the road and face people like Utah and Baylor and UCF. So
yeah, they reload in the from the JUCO ranks, and I think they're going to be better than last year, but I still have them down at the very top of the 3rd tier. So
now here's the thing about BYU that you never know how good they're going to be, and here's why. They send people out on missions. They're there for a couple of years. They come back. They're either in shape or out of shape. They're either bigger, faster, stronger, or they're just completely out of shape. And if they are bigger, faster, and stronger, guess what? They're older too. They're 2 years older than everybody else is playing. So
married,
a lot more mature and things. Married, sometimes kids. They're 24 years old and they're in there playing with a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids. So
they got the back hair. They hit second puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Baylor at number 12. I feel like Casey Kasem, Baylor away. We got the Buffs, Texas Tech, Houston, Iowa State. They have to go to Morgantown. Okay. But like we said this, Baylor, when they go to Morgantown, it is usually high scoring game. So always pick the over. So Baylor's home games, they have BYU, TCU, Oklahoma State, and Kansas. For Baylor,
that is a brutal schedule. I cannot agree with Baylor in 11th. Or where you have 11th or 12th? Where are we up to?
I have them 12th.
Well, I can't agree with that. I'd have to put them lower. Just looking at that schedule. Yeah, just looking at that schedule.
Yeah, you're right.
Those away games. Colorado's going to be tough for Baylor. Texas Tech, they're going to lose that game. Iowa State, they're going to lose that game. West Virginia, they're going to lose that game. Then you look at their home games. TCU, they're going to lose. Oklahoma State, they're going to lose. Kansas, they're going to lose. BYU, they could lose. I just don't see Baylor.
Yeah.
Unless Dave Aranda can pull a Neil Brown next year, like we talked about.
12 through 16 is one of those situations, much like 6 through 10, where you can mix and match, guys. So that's why I move them into tiers. So we're now moving down. So Baylor, guys, they were 3-9 last year. Man, Dave Aranda struggled, and
don't see much better this year.
I think he fired Grimes. What was their offensive coordinator? Jeff Grimes. He brought in that Jake's. What's his name? Spavital. I can't.
Jake Spavital.
They brought him in. Yeah. Spavital. Yeah. They brought him in. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. Let's see. They'd like to throw the ball and hopefully they'll put up some numbers and make for an entertaining Big 12 if they
Now,
win a few. So
Jake was the offensive coordinator at West Virginia in
yes,
2018.
that's why the name.
But Dana Holgerson ran that offense. Jake Stabador was just a figurehead, really.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That name very familiar for Mountaineer fans. So Arizona State, I have those guys. Oh wait, sorry. I have Arizona at 13. Arizona.
big drop,
Big drop, guys. From I think I had them 2 to 13, guys. That's how far they've dropped because they lost 20 cats in the portal. They got a yard sale sign in the front yard. I don't know how you pound that yard sale sign out in the desert. I guess that got to have a mallet. You can't just push it down the ground like you do in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. So Arizona, the Wildcats, they have BYU, Utah, TCU, UCF. Those are their away games. Arizona State at home. Colorado, Texas Tech, Houston, West Virginia. Guys, that was a very winnable schedule a month ago. The ones where I'm not picking them to lose, the ones they're lucky if they're 50-50. Let's talk about the 50-50 games. Arizona State, 50-50, maybe 60-40. Other than that, it doesn't look good for them.
Colorado 50-50.
Yeah, Colorado 50-50. Guys, now that's because they have them at home, and it's the desert, curse of the desert, they call it, right? I'll tell you what, guys, that is Arizona fans out there. When I go to church on Sunday, I will say a prayer for you because it's tough. It's tough. It's just a hard pill to swallow when you think you're going to be up here and then just get undercut, and it's just unfortunate. So, but Arizona fans, there is a little bit of sunshine at the end of that rainbow, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I picked Arizona State to finish behind you. So, Sun Devil fans, I'm sorry. I have you at 14. They were 3-9 last year. Okay, this year they have to play Mississippi State. Okay, and they have to go, guys. Sun Devils. They have to play at Arizona. We just talked about. They got to go to Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Cincinnati. They got to go the whole way up to Cincinnati. Then they have home games: BYU, Utah. Good luck beating Utah. Kansas, that's a tough team. UCF, guys, doesn't look good for them.
Shane, go ahead and keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so I guess Kenny Dillingham was, that was his first season. Tough to be a first-year head coach. Is he going to turn it around? They competed. They gave Washington, they gave Colorado, Cal, and UCLA all close games. Okay, so there is a silver lining, but I don't know, guys. There's quite big question marks, and it doesn't seem like Arizona State really wants it. Fans, if you're an Arizona State fan, in the comments, tell me I'm full of baloney. Tell me why. But I think they're in for a tough road ahead. Now, let's move on to another new coach, the Houston Cougars. Houston. So they did beat the Mountaineers with a Hail Mary last year. But this year, man, Houston, you got to play Arizona away. Even though they're going to be depleted, it's still going to be, I don't think you're going to beat them. BYU away. TCU away. Kansas away. Cincinnati away. You got Utah, Baylor, K-State, and Iowa State at home. Doesn't look good for you guys. It's going to be tough sledding for Willie Fritz. When he was at Tulane, he had them just swinging haymakers for 2 years, laying people out, and now we'll see if he can right the ship, guys. Hey, We're
Sorry
down.
about that. I had to go grab me some cough drops. My throat was getting
Starting to
scratchy.
cough, get tickle. So we're at 16, Joey, and that is Cincinnati, the Bearcats. What do we have the Bearcats at? I don't know. Maybe win 2-3 games. They won 3 games last year. They keep the status quo. They went 1-8 in the Big 12. That's not good. Scott Satterfield, man, do you think he's on the hot seat? I mean, he's only been there 1 year. Not yet.
No, I think he's fine. I think he's fine. I can see Cincinnati winning more games than one game this year. But I'm like you. If you look at their schedule, their away games: Texas Tech and Kansas State and Iowa State, right there.
Yeah.
And then UCF away. That's four tough away games.
Yeah, I hope hey, if you're watching Scott Satterfield, comment in the comment section and use the handle Toasty Bottoms if you're feeling like you might be losing a job in
he'll be
a year or
posting
so.
He'll be posting 16 all over the locker room, and he'll have your name under it.
There, say Shane said we're going to finish 16. Use this space for fuel to light a fire under your team's ass to get them to play some ball, guys. That is my 1 through 16, way too early. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. List based off of gossip, conjecture, and the wind.
We have some new ones coming to the chat. Triple B Experiences here with us.
Yeah, Bubba.
Not nearly there, but Kenny, good friend of mine. Glad he's here with us. Patrick's in here with us. Appreciate you being here. Jackson Johnson come in with us. Now, next week, I'll go over my top 16.
Yes.
With me being out a month, I haven't had time to sit down and do that yet. But I will tell you, I don't agree with your top 5. Here's why. And I might be being a homer here, but I really believe West Virginia is going to win the Big 12 next year. I think that they're primed to do it. They've got a few tough games, right? I mean, we've got to go out there.
I love it. I love it.
But there's that possibility. And especially if we can get past Penn State, if we can beat Penn State, there's nobody in the Big 12 that can beat us. No one has any business beating us. Now, we've done really well.
It'd be the best for the Big 12. It would be the best for the Big 12 if they did run the table after they beat Penn State. But
our NIL collective has secured everybody. We didn't lose anybody of really significance. We lost a couple of defensive players, and we lost Zach Frazier, obviously, to the NFL.
Yeah.
But we were such a young team last year. All that young talent's coming back, and it's going to be a great season for West Virginia. I just think we'll definitely play for the Big 12 championship. I really feel like that, and I think we have a good shot of winning it. Now, speaking of West Virginia, one thing I do want to pass on to everybody. I spoke with Joe Manchin's a good friend of mine and a friend of the family. Spoke with his press secretary today. Told him I'd like to get Joe Manchin for an interview on this NIL. And so Joe and I are working on setting that up right now. Yep. And here's what I'd like for everybody to do. If you're not a member of Patreon on the Voice of College Football's Patreon page, go over and join that. Submit your questions for Joe Manchin. I'm going to let Patreon members submit your questions there, and just submit your question for what you want me to ask Joe. If we get time, I will get to all of them, everybody's questions that possibly can. But you have to understand he's really busy, so time constraints are going to be tough. That will be coming up here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Like I say, we're working on a date for that, and it's going to be great to talk about NIL. I know that the House is taking up an NIL deal right now. Joe Manchin's got deals. A lot of senators have come up with different ones, but the one in the House right now is a bipartisan bill and looks really strong. So, it'd be great to bring Joe in and talk to him about those NIL deals. But yeah, so Mountaineer Larry Kenny, he's got his top 5 here. He says WVU, Utah, Kansas, Kansas State, Texas Tech. I
Yep,
wouldn't
that's a good
disagree
one.
with that. I wouldn't
No.
disagree with that. I do believe it's going to come down between Utah and West Virginia, but I don't count out Kansas and Kansas
What a
State
great
either.
matchup. I'd love that. I'd love that.
And Texas Tech, the last couple of years and even this year, their recruiting has just been off the charts. So, Joey McGuire down there doing an amazing job of recruiting for Texas Tech. And, I don't think his coaching has caught up with it yet, as showed evident last year.
Yeah.
While they did make a bowl game, they were not as good as people thought. Can that be turned around this year? Because if they go into this year as high as I had them last year, I had them winning the Big 12 last year. I had them playing Texas for the Big 12 championship preseason. They fell off pretty quickly, as we all know. But this year, if Joey McGuire can get that team going, they've got the talent to just wipe the slate clean in the Big 12. So, you have to watch out for Texas Tech. C. John says, "Hey, Joey, welcome back. Glad you're back on your feet. Thank you. It's great to be back with all you guys. It really is. I will remind everybody tomorrow night is the Mountaineer Live show on the West Virginia football at the Voice of College Football. That's at 8 o'clock. And that's every Friday night, Mountaineer Live show. Work on getting some great guests for you guys for that. So, hey, man, we've been an hour. What do you think, Shane? You got any final thoughts?
No, put a bow on it. Watch this stuff when you're going to work, when you're in the bathtub, lather up and think about college football, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Joey, it's been a great hour. I'm glad everyone could join us, and we'll be here next Monday also for the Fan Zone, the West Virginia Fan Zone show, and then again next Thursday for the Big 12 Fan Zone. And hey, guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please smash it. Everybody says smash it. I hate that. Click it and click the notification button so you know when we're going to be coming up with new shows. Joey is a wizard. He has a Rolodex. He has that old school Rolodex, and he has names. I mean, anybody you can think of, he can get. So, guys, thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.
That's right. Yeah, we will see everybody real soon. Talk of Spit just came in here. I appreciate you being here, Talk of Spit. We're getting ready to wrap up this show. Everybody, like he said, tomorrow night, Mountaineer Live, 8 o'clock on the West Virginia football at the Voice of College Football. Monday nights is the Mountaineer Fan Zone. Tuesday nights is Clint Polster on the Big 12 channel, talking Big 12 football. He calls his show the Biggest 12. Wednesday nights, Frank Fear and Coach Greg Chris with Mountaineer Locker Room every Wednesday night on Mountaineer football at the Voice of College Football. Thursday nights, me and Shane right here with you. And hey, we are working really hard to fuel these shows up, get you content on here every single day of the week. Glad everybody tuned in with us tonight. Everyone have a great night. We will see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.